I never thought I'd be standing in my living room staring at my mother-in-law with shaking hands and a racing heart, wondering if I could ever forgive her. But there she was, smirking, arms crossed, as if she had done nothing wrong. And I was frozen, my mind struggling to process what had just happened. It all started when I married Daniel. He was kind, gentle, the kind of man who made you feel safe in a storm. But his mother, Eleanor, was the storm. From the moment I met her, she had a way of making me feel small, like I wasn't good enough for her son. She had this passive-aggressive sweetness, smiling while throwing sharp words disguised as compliments. "Oh, you're wearing that dress, how bold." Or, "You must be a great cook. Daniel looks like he's lost some weight." But I endured it. For Daniel. For peace. Until she did something I could never forgive. It was a quiet Sunday afternoon, the kind where the sun paints the sky in soft hues, and the air feels light. I had just finished arranging my late mother's jewelry, pieces that weren't just gold and silver, but memories, stories, whispers of the past. There was the delicate pearl necklace she wore to my school recitals, the gold bangles that jingled every time she clapped for me, and the emerald ring my father gave her on their anniversary. Each piece carried a moment of love, a fragment of her soul. I kept them in a special wooden box, one that smelled faintly of roses and thyme. It was the only thing that truly connected me to her. That day, Eleanor had come over unexpectedly. "Just thought I'd stop by," she had said, walking in like she owned the place. I was in the kitchen making tea when I heard her moving around in the bedroom. I thought nothing of it at first, maybe she was fixing the pillows or looking for a book. But then, the sound of rustling bags caught my attention. A gut feeling told me to check. And that's when I saw her, standing by the trash can, smiling, and my mother's jewelry gone. At first, I didn't understand. My heart pounded so loudly I could barely hear my own voice when I asked, "What did you do?" Eleanor shrugged, as if she had merely tossed away an old newspaper. "Oh, those tacky old things. I threw them out. You don't need them cluttering up the house." My breath caught in my throat. You threw away my mother's jewelry?" She laughed. "You're acting like they were worth something. Trust me, they weren't. And besides, you're married now. It's time to let go of the past and focus on your new family." Something inside me snapped. This wasn't about jewelry. This was about my mother, my history, my memories. She had taken something sacred and tossed it away like trash. And she was smiling about it. My hands clenched into fists, but I refused to give her the satisfaction of seeing me break. Instead, I took a deep breath and looked her straight in the eye. "You had no right." My voice was low, but it carried an edge that made even her smirk falter for a second. But then, she rolled her eyes. "Oh, don't be so dramatic, it's just jewelry." I turned away from her, feeling hot tears sting my eyes. I needed a moment to breathe, to think. I couldn't undo what she had done. I couldn't get those pieces back, but I could do something better. I could teach her a lesson, and I would. She had no idea what was coming. I didn't speak to Eleanor for the rest of the day. Or the next. Daniel noticed something was wrong, of course. He wasn't oblivious. He knew his mother and I had our issues. But he also had this unfortunate habit of believing she meant well, even when she very clearly didn't. That night, when I finally told him what happened, his face paled. She did what?" His voice was quiet, disbelieving, like he was trying to convince himself he had misheard me. "She threw away my mother's jewelry," I repeated, my hands trembling from the anger I had been holding in all day. "And then she laughed about it." I watched his jaw tighten, his hands balling into fists. Good. I wanted him to feel what I felt. I wanted him to understand that this wasn't just some petty argument. "I'll talk to her," he finally said, his voice heavy. "No," I cut in. "I'll handle this." Because I knew his version of talking would be a soft reprimand. Mom, you really shouldn't have done that," followed by her fake apology and a smug smile behind my back. No, that wouldn't do. I didn't want an apology, I wanted justice. But first, I needed to know exactly what I was dealing with. So the next morning, before anyone else was awake, I dug through the trash. Yes, you read that right. I wasn't going to let my mother's memories rot under coffee grounds and vegetable peels. I needed to find whatever I could salvage. My hands trembled as I pulled out the garbage bags, my heart hammering with hope and dread. I tore through crumpled papers, food scraps, old tissues, disgusted but determined. And then I saw it. The wooden box. It was cracked, its lid hanging loosely from one hinge. My breath caught as I opened it. Empty. Every piece of jewelry gone. Tears blurred my vision, but I refused to break down. Instead, I wiped my hands, steeled myself, and made a plan. I had to find out what she did with them, so I played dumb. I sent Eleanor a casual text. Hey, just wondering, do you remember where you threw out that jewelry? I wanted to see if I could salvage a few pieces. 3 dots appeared on the screen, then disappeared, then appeared again, and then came her response. Oh, honey, I had them thrown out with the morning trash. They're gone, Lieutenant. The city's garbage pickup wasn't scheduled until tomorrow. She had done something else with them, sold them maybe, pawned them off. Either way, I wasn't letting this go. So, I did some digging. It didn't take long. She wasn't as clever as she thought. I found a pawn shop receipt in her car, dated yesterday, and I recognized the name of the shop. I could have gone there and simply bought the jewelry back, but no, that wasn't enough. She needed to learn. So I called in a favor. A few years ago, I helped a friend, Lisa, start her business, a small law firm specializing in, ironically, inheritance disputes and stolen property. I told her what happened. She was furious. Oh, we're getting those pieces back, and we're making her regret this. We devised a plan. First, Lisa drafted a legal letter, official-looking, full of terrifying legal jargon, claiming that Eleanor had knowingly stolen valuable heirlooms and that I was pressing charges for theft and destruction of property. It stated that the items exceeded $25,000 in value. Exaggerated? Maybe. But Eleanor didn't know that. Then, we had the letter delivered to her house. By a process server. A real, uniformed professional who knocked on her door, confirmed her identity and handed her the document with a straight face. She nearly fainted. I wasn't there, but according to Lisa, who conveniently parked nearby to watch, Eleanor's face turned ghost white as she read the letter. She stammered, waved her hands, tried to argue with the server, but he just repeated, "You've been served." And then, she panicked. She called Daniel first, sobbing, "She's suing me. Your wife is trying to ruin me." Daniel, bless his heart, simply replied, "You threw away her mother's jewelry. What did you expect?" That was when she called me. I let it ring. Then I let it ring again. On the 3rd call, I picked up. "Eleanor," I said, my voice perfectly calm. "You're taking this too far," she wailed. "I didn't steal anything." "You pawned my mother's jewelry," I said coldly. "That's theft. I'll buy them back. I'll get them. Just drop this lawsuit." I pretended to think about it. Let the silence stretch. "Fine," I finally said. "Return every single piece, and I'll consider dropping the charges." She scrambled. She ran to the pawn shop so fast that the owner later told me he had never seen an old woman move like that. By the end of the day, every single item was back in my hands. But I wasn't done yet. Because, you see, Eleanor had no idea that the lawsuit was fake. She thought she was still in legal trouble, and I let her sweat. For weeks, she called, left messages, begged Daniel to fix things. Finally, after a month of her living in absolute panic, I sent her one final text. "Eleanor, I've decided to drop the case. Consider this a second chance, but if you ever touch anything of mine again, I won't be so forgiving." I never heard a snarky comment from her again. She never even looked at my things again. And best of all, Daniel finally saw her for who she was. He stopped making excuses, stopped defending her cruelty. When she tried to guilt him later, he simply said, "You brought this on yourself." And just like that, She lost her power. And I got everything back, including my dignity.